You're live.
Hello and welcome everyone to our In Conversation event with American author Deborah Rodriguez. Deborah is the author of 6 best-selling novels. She has also written 2 memoirs about her life in Afghanistan and her experiences following her return to America. She spent 5 years teaching and later directing the Kabul Beauty School, the first modern beauty academy and training salon in Afghanistan. Deborah also owned the Oasis Salon and the Kabul Coffee House and is the founder of the not-for-profit organisation Oasis Rescue, which aims to teach women in post-conflict and disaster-stricken areas the art of hairdressing. She currently lives in Mexico, where she owns Tippy Toes Salon and Spa. Welcome to Casey Cardinia Libraries, Deb. It's lovely to chat with you.
I am thrilled to be here. How fun. Thank you for inviting me.
It's our pleasure. Deb, you've got such a fascinating background. Can you tell us a little about yourself and what led you to Afghanistan from America? It must have been quite a culture shock in the beginning.
Yeah, it really was. I had taken disaster relief training, and my team that I trained with decided to go to Afghanistan after 9/11, which I deployed out to 9/11 to work with the firefighters. And then with this same voluntary team, they decided they were going to go and do medical for women in Afghanistan. And so I begged for a spot on that team, and finally they let me go. And when I was there, I was useless because I'm not medical. And so I wound up doing hairdressing. I brought my scissors and my comb with me and my cape, and wound up doing hairdressing for all the media people, for many of the missionaries who had been there that had not had a haircut in like a long time, unless they traveled through the Khyber Pass to Pakistan to get one. So there was such a demand. And so at that point, I thought, why is it that the Afghans aren't doing these haircuts? And so when I started to investigate, I realized that they, number one, didn't have the tools. And number two, they had beauty shops had become illegal. And so had the tools like mirrors. I had a woman who had buried her perm solution in the backyard. It was just like that. It was, I couldn't believe it. So my original thought was that I would go back to Afghanistan, but I would bring equipment. You know, I'd bring scissors, I'd bring perm solution, because the first salon that I went in, there was only one that I could find that had reopened, and it was a big cracked mirror, and the woman was doing a perm with sticks. And they put the solution on. This is when I was so amazed. I mean, if anybody out there has gotten a perm, you know the procedure. You wrap the perm, you put the solution on, you let it set for a while, you rinse the solution off. She put the solution on after with the sticks and rubber bands, and they were teeny little sticks and on long hair, right? And then
it would have taken forever.
Well, and the fuzzy mess right afterwards. Then she went to the back hook in the back of this long little hallway and put her burqa on, and she left. And I'm thinking, why is she leaving? Isn't she coming? You need to rinse his perm off soon. They go, no, she's just gonna let it dry. So keep them in, keep the perm rods in her hair with the solution in her hair till the next morning, till it was dry, then take it out. I was shocked. I'm like, no way. That's when I thought, okay, that's when I really felt my disaster relief coming to bloom. It's like, this is some disaster hair that's going to happen here. So that's when I decided to go back to the States and see what I could do about opening a school. And so I co-founded a school in Afghanistan.
And it's still running today?
No, it's not. It stopped running. We were 2002 to 2007. We trained about 200 women.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was pretty amazing. Yeah.
I'm wondering if the lady with the perm, whether her hair was still attached to her the next morning.
Well, I was the two things that were disasters was those perms,
Mm.
and then they used henna on their hair. So
Oh.
you had, it was awful. So that's when I realized my true calling.
Oh, God. Now, Deb, what came first, the hairdressing or the writing?
Oh, I've been a hairdresser since I went to beauty school when I was still in high school at 15.
Wow.
So I've been in the industry a very, very long time. I always wrote, but definitely hairdressing was first.
Yeah.
I'm
And,
I'm a I'm three generations of hairdressers. My
oh,
mom, myself, and my son. My
and
son's a really bad hairdresser, so we don't really count him. And thank goodness he doesn't do anybody's hair anymore. But yeah, I'm a long lineage of hairdressers.
oh, that's really good. Um, was it once you went to Afghanistan, did that inspire you to put pen to paper with the culture over there and what you saw?
So in the beginning, what I was still doing hair, right? So I would go to Afghanistan for maybe 3 months, and I was trying to keep my clients informed about what was going on so that they would come back to me when I came back to the States, and I'd be back for a month, then I'd go back over. So I started like that, making sure that I had documented every little thing that happened every day. And after about 400 pages of documenting everything, somebody says, you have a book here. It was actually one of my clients. She had taken all my emails, hundreds of them, and she went through and she put them almost like in chapters. And she put the pictures that I had set put in the emails. And she says, you have a book here. And she handed me a book, like of all my emails. And so I thought, wow. And then when I look back at it, because I had not saved it, I had saved some of my emails, but I was, after that, I started documenting things like journaling. But in the beginning, it was straight out emails. And it was then I thought, wow, how much have I already forgotten? It was amazing. And so then after that, I started documenting everything. And I knew that there was a book there. It just had to be. It was so unusual, right? And so, and I had written before. I had always written, but not nothing that I sold anything, right? Like
Yeah.
personal stuff,
Yeah.
right?
And what was your road to publication? How did you get published?
I was, in Afghanistan, there was the community, it's an expat community. Everybody knows everybody. And so it was, somebody who knew somebody who had an agent. And so I called the agent and said, I have this story. And, as soon as the agent hears you did a beauty school in Afghanistan, there'd been so much press about it already. There was just so much press about the beauty school without any book involved. And so she was very interested. And so we just started working together.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, The Moroccan Daughter is your new
Yes.
book, and I have read it and I absolutely loved it. Congratulations on your new release.
Thank you.
Now, it's full of forbidden love and secrets, which gradually become revealed as the story goes on. Can you tell our listeners what it's all about?
Well, like you said, it's basically about love, spicy, forbidden love. It's about long held secrets. It's about cultural clashes. It's about the modern versus the traditional. It's about family honor, and the it it's all set in the backdrop of this amazing Medina and Fez, and in the high Atlas Mountains in Imishil at a wedding festival. So you just really get a full, you get to go on a little trip to Morocco. You get to travel up into the mountains and see a wedding festival that is spectacular. Can I read you something about the wedding festival?
I was going to ask you about the wedding festival, actually. Yes, so go ahead.
So this is when I began researching, I found this. In a small town high in the Atlas Mountains of Morocco, each harvest season brings a celebration born of a tragic Berber legend. The ancient tale tells of two star-crossed lovers from different tribes who wished to marry, but their families' sworn enemies forbade it. Torn between their families' wishes and their love for each other, the pair became overwhelmed by grief, forming two lakes with their overflowing tears. Eventually, both lovers stepped into their respective lakes and drowned themselves. Legend has it that due to the mountains separating the two lakes, their souls remain apart even after their deaths, leaving them doomed to yearn for each other for eternity. The elders, responding to the sadness of the villagers, pledged forever to put all differences aside, creating a day on the anniversary of the lover's death for young members of all tribes to gather and have freedom to find the partner of their choice. The Imishil Marriage Festival carries on to this day as a symbol of love, peace, and understanding.
Now,
when I heard about
Can you tell everyone?
Yeah.
Can you tell everyone what actually goes on at the marriage festival? Because I was fascinated by that.
Oh, I know. I was so fascinated by that. So if you first visualize, like, I didn't know what it looked like, right? Until I literally got there. All the research in the world will not give you the proper description. It's like in this desolate area that has this mountain range around it, and it's huge, and it's like a giant flea market. So it's where the people are coming from all over. It's harvest time, right? So all the harvest is done, and people are bringing everything in to Imishil. They're bringing their camels, their donkeys, their horses, their sheep, everything they're bringing there, along with their tractors, their blue jeans, makeup, clothing, food. Everything is there, along with the young people. And the young people are like, it reminds me, I'm going to really date myself here. Remember roller skating? Yep. Or like how kids go to the mall and they circle and they circle and they circle and they're looking at each other. I remember roller skating like that. And you're looking for that boy. That's what they're doing. But it's like 20,000 people. So there's single people everywhere. And you're trying to figure out who wants to get married, who doesn't want to get married. Because what they used to do is they would come from a long ways away, right? And they'd come for this, and they would buy their supplies. They would sell their carpets. They would sell their sheep. They would sell anything they wanted to sell and buy whatever they needed to last for the winter, right? And so there was traditional dress. I'm like, is she getting married? She was shopping. A young girl was shopping for the traditional white cloak that they wear. And you could see these kids, groups of boys and groups of girls, and they're eyeballing each other. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting there like it was like watching a movie. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, so these are two separate groups. And now you can see one of the boys go over to talk to one of the girls. And then they're switching numbers. But in the past, they would meet on one day they would, families would maybe get involved on the second day, and they were married on the third day.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And so I don't think that is as common. It can happen because that's what it's all about. But a lot of times now, this is where they're meeting. And then they usually get the families involved and will get married at a later date. But colorful, crowded, loud, everything dusty. You could smell kebabs in the air. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
So how long does the festival go for? About 3 or 4 days?
Yeah, it's 3 days.
Oh, God, that's
And
amazing.
you don't know when it's going to happen. It was really hard I changed my ticket, I bet you 3 times. And then even when I got there, they said, "Oh, I think it's going to start on Thursday," or it's going to start on this day. I changed my ticket so many times because I wanted, and I still, even when I got there, nobody was certain. But thankfully, I saw all of it and saw the couples getting married.
Well, they must have a good bush telegraph there to sort of let everybody know when it's actually going to happen for that many people to come.
I know. I mean, that's what I thought. It's like it was just constantly changing the dates, but it was fantastic.
Oh, what a terrific experience. And obviously that was a great inspiration for this particular book.
It was. It was crucial, along with I had always wanted to tell a story that took place in Morocco for quite a few years. And it's just not that easy, right? Like you have a wonderful location, but there's got to be a solid story. It can't be just location driven. And somebody told me, they said, "You know what? I have a Moroccan American friend. She's got a pretty fantastic story. You should meet her." And I did, and talked to her, and she stayed on as a consultant through the entire book. But she was the inspiration for Amina. She was a Moroccan American. Her father was a director of prison. She lived on the grounds of a prison. She left Morocco when she was 17, and she went to school, married the American. Of course, her family was very accepting of the husband and all that sort of stuff. But as soon as she's telling me these stories, and she was such a colorful person, right? So like she told everything with so much enthusiasm. The stories began to spin in my head before I could even blink an eye. And then once I saw the wedding festival, it was all over. It's like, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah. Now, I gathered reading this book that it is sort of a sequel to the previous book, which was The Island at the Edge of the World. However, not having read that book, this stood on its own anyway. But now I'm keen to go back and read the other book, read your last book, because some of the characters in there flowed on through the Moroccan Daughter.
Right. Charlie and Bee, grandmother and granddaughter hairdressing duel, so to speak. They were originally introduced in The Island on the Edge of the World, and I love them so much. Bee is my all-time favorite character ever.
She was an absolute character. I loved her, and she just took everything in her stride. You know, she just wanted to experience the colors, the smells, everything, despite the fact that she was blind.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, I could sort of imagine walking down those streets, you know, smelling the spices, but she was an absolute character. She really was.
Yeah, and Charlie and Bee were so amazing that they could not end with that book. I could just keep bringing them on adventures forever. I love Bee. I want to be Bee. That's my goal in life, is to become Bee. you know. And the really interesting part was when I was doing the research, when I was in Fez, um, my research partner at the very last minute had a medical emergency. So I had rented this huge palatial riad so that I could live in it to experience. I mean, riads are big. They're they're quirky in their own way. And to really understand what it would be like, you have to live in one, right? And so I had also read someplace that riads were haunted. You know what I mean? It's like someplace I'm thinking, okay. So when my research partner couldn't make it on this trip, I was in a panic because I'm thinking, I do not want to stay in this huge riad by myself in the middle of this Medina where in Fez you are lost all the time. All the time. There's not a moment when you're in there that you're not lost. And as much as I travel, I have zero sense of direction. I mean, I can't find myself out of a shoebox. And so I did an SOS to my girlfriends. It's like somebody has got to go with me. I can't do this. I cannot do this I don't want to do this by myself. And so I had two girlfriends, one from London that came in, and my girlfriend here in Mazatlan, Mexico, she flew in. So I'm so excited. We get into Fez, we walk through the gate, we're ready to, there's no cars, 9,000 little pathways through this Medina. And so we've got somebody with a cart pulling the luggage. And now I thought, what was I thinking? There is no way B can make it in this Medina. The donkeys were nearly running us over. You had to watch your step for the donkey poop, tripping over cats. There was cats everywhere. I mean, there was little bowls of food you would trip over. Somebody would be hauling a cart full of something and you would have to press up against the wall just so you don't get run over. Yeah. And I thought, I have made the world's worst mistake thinking that B could go to Fez. What was I could feel my heart racing. Like I was almost hyperventilating because I thought, what have I done? Right? I have like created this, but it's impossible. And then my girlfriend we got to the riad and her knee was about this big.
Oh.
She had come off from knee surgery 6 weeks prior. She says, Deb, I don't know how I'm going to make it here. Everything was walking, everything. You walked constantly. And she goes, I don't know how I can do it. I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know how B's going to do it. And then the young man who was the manager of the riad, he goes, oh, no problem. Everything in Morocco, it's easy. We can fix everything. He comes in with this strapping, handsome young man and a wheelchair. And so this man wheeled Linda everywhere. It was fantastic. Like so she was able to experience Fez with her eyes closed.
Right. Okay.
It was fantastic. Unplanned, completely unplanned. But it was so amazing. I never would have thought that. And never. But I could actually kind of tool around in the wheelchair myself a little bit. And there's such a difference when you close your eyes in the midst of all this chaos, right? Like, okay, this is what it feels like. This is what it sounds like. And I think that really made a huge difference in the book. Yeah, and, B gets around, but just being able to experience the Riyadh with your eyes closed was, or the Medina with your eyes closed was spectacular.
Yeah. Oh, look, I just loved her. I thought, but she hated mint tea. She said, "Is there anything else but mint tea to drink? Because that must be a staple. Is that like us having a coffee or a tea? Over here, mint tea is the thing."
Yeah, anytime you went anywhere, they served you mint tea. And Fez was, I mean, there was like no place to buy alcohol like in Fez. Like you could, but you had to be at a hotel, right? And
Right.
so all of a sudden we're in the Riyadh thinking, okay, where can we get like a bottle of wine? Well, you're not going to get it here. You're going to need to go outside of the Medina to get anything. So
Yeah,
it was
so
really interesting.
no drive-in bottle shop that you could go to.
No.
Now, Deb, also tell us about Oasis Rescue and how that came about.
Oasis Rescue started with the beauty school in Afghanistan.
Right.
It was at that point, it was a time, a way for me to raise funds for the beauty school.
Mm-hmm.
So, for everything, for all our supplies, for the teachers, for the mannequin heads, for rent for the building. And so that's how what the original intention of it was. And then after I left Afghanistan, I did projects like Beauty Shop in a Box, which was sending hairdressing kits to
Wow.
different women. Like I worked with other nonprofits, and they would find, 7 women or 10 women that wanted to learn how to do hair, but they couldn't afford the equipment. Simple things like shears and combs and rollers, curling irons, whatever. And then when I came to Mexico, I really still wanted to work with the women, but I didn't want to do a school anymore.
Mm.
I was done with that sort of thing. So what we did is we would raise money, and we would teach. We would send the girls to schools, to beauty schools, either that or nail school or massage school, esthetician, makeup. And that's what we do now. And we still do like all our own in-house training for the little spa that
Yep.
we have. And so, yeah, so it's just basically educating women and the art and commerce of my industry.
Oh, what a great thing to do. And the fact that, your knowledge has passed down to so many people, that the women that live there just must feel liberated, that now they've got this service that is there for them that they've never had before.
Right.
Well done.
Yeah. It's really nice. Like one young girl who worked for me, and she goes, I really want to be a makeup technician. And so I said, well, go to school here. And so she went to school, and she quit working for me so she could become a makeup artist. I mean, you know what I mean? But that was fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And it just must give them opportunities that they didn't have before too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Now, also, what I wanted to ask you too is, obviously you were probably writing this book during COVID last year.
Yeah.
How did that affect you over there? But being a writer, I suppose you're used to being indoors all the time anyway, writing away. But how did COVID affect your work last year?
I think that, I think because it was difficult, right? It was easier. It was, well, you don't have as many distractions, right? And you can pull from, any sort of emotion that you get, whether it's fear, whether it's, pain or loss or whatever it is, that sort of stuff can really go into your writing, right? So can love, all that. It's reflective. And so it was, I think it was a real benefit because again, that you have zero distractions other than the fact, I think in the very beginning when we're all like, looking at the TV and thinking, oh my goodness, what's going on? We couldn't quite believe that was hard. That I couldn't find myself, I couldn't stay focused, right? Because that felt overwhelming.
Yeah.
But then once you kind of got past that overwhelming thing, but yet again, that overwhelming thing, I mean, Amina was overwhelmed, right? So you bring that in, right? And you tap into all those things.
Yeah. Now, are you working on a new book?
Well, right now I am, working on the publicity for this book.
Yeah.
I've been working on something actually for quite a few years that I would like to, start literally working on it more. But I've been stopped because of the pandemic. I need to get to my location that I wanted in. I need to see, I need to scout that location out, because the story I have the story. That's not an issue, but I have to see where it can work and what characters would be coming into the story. So I'm kind of dead in the water, so to speak, until I can get there.
And where are you hoping to set the next book?
I've been thinking, and I've been thinking a little bit about Colombia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gee, you go to off the beaten track places, which actually is really good, because it is nice to sit down and read a book that isn't set in a usual location that you've read a million books of. It is really nice to read a book set in an exotic location.
Yeah, and Colombia is so fascinating just on its own, because I love areas that have a lot of history. I mean, they've got the, not some good history with the whole cartel and, Pablo Escobar, but yet Medellin is just wants to be done with that. People are trying to move forward, but yet everybody has gone through it. They've I mean, I was in another city here in Mexico, and I met a young Colombian woman, and we're just having a great old time talking. And she goes, yeah, I'm from Medellin. And then after spending, it was a weekend trip, we were all together. And after spending some time with her, she goes, oh yeah, my cousin, she was Pablo Escobar's secretary. I'm like, oh okay. Wow. There we go. And so I thought, again, that was just another affirmation that, yes, I need, because I love that. It's like, who says that? Who says that?
Who'd be game enough to say that?
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, it was just like, we're just having a normal conversation and it just popped in. It's like, okay.
Well, we'll look forward to reading what comes out of that discussion. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And what books, what are you reading at the moment?
I just read Dancing in the Mosque by, I don't know, Hamira. I'd have to look that up. I can't remember what her full name is, but Dancing in the Mosque was a book about Afghanistan and about a young woman who, it's a true story. It's sad. It's I don't know. It's moving. Right. It's about her losing her child. About her child being taken from her, I should say.
Well, it sounds like you like reading books set in exotic locations as well.
Yeah, I do. I love that. And
that's good. Now, as we always have some aspiring writers tuning into these events, do you have one piece of advice you could give someone who's hoping to write a book or in the process of writing a book?
You know what? I think the thing that somebody said to me, I remember feeling like writing a book was overwhelming, right? Like all of a sudden you think, oh, I want to write a book. Well, but then I remember those emails that I just took a snapshot of my day that day, and I sent those emails out. And that's what this person, when she handed me the book, I said, I can't, it's such a big project. She goes, you've already wrote your book and just little vignettes. It's just now you need to connect all the dots. And that's what I have found to this day, that if I take a project and it's just overwhelming, that if I can break it into small little vignettes, it makes it so much easier to chew.
Yeah.
And you don't get so overwhelmed, because everything's edited, anything can be taken out, anything can be added, right?
Well, it's just
But
like
just
if you haven't got those words on the page, you're not going to get anything, are you?
No, right? And just write. I always felt when you asked if I was a hairdresser first or if I was a writer first. I always wrote, but I was discouraged by a teacher one time because my spelling and punctuation was terrible. And to this day, I still am not that. Thank goodness for apps that can help you, like I mean, thank goodness for all the assistance we can get. But I remember this teacher in high school discouraging me, like, you can't even string a sentence together, Debbie. And I'm like, yeah. And so then I went to the university, and I was in my first year, and they said, talk about your summer, write about your summer. And it was weird. I wrote it, and everybody complicated it. Everybody in the class, there was all these aspiring writers, and I was still, right, like I just kept it simple, and everybody failed but me. And he says, you kept it simple, you told a story, it was clear, you didn't ramble on, for days about something we don't care about. And I thought, that was the first time. That was probably when I was at 19. Then I thought, okay, I can do this.
You get it.
Yeah.
Now I've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Prue wanted to know, why did you go to Kabul, and what prompted you to write after your beauty career?
Well, I went to Afghanistan to do the beauty school, and originally with the disaster team, but I went to set up beauty salons or beauty schools in Afghanistan. And then I actually wrote the Kabul Beauty School while I was in Afghanistan. And then the little coffee shop of Kabul, I started a coffee house also when I was in Afghanistan. All right. You know what? I have this really bad habit. This is like a true confession time. I get annoyed when I love coffee, and I get annoyed. I was like, I am done with Nescafe. Nothing wrong with Nescafe, but I was personally finished with it. So I thought, I'm going to start a coffee house because we need proper coffee here. I wanted a cappuccino. So, and then when I came to Mexico, the same thing happened. I couldn't get a good pedicure. So I started it. So yeah, I think I've identified that little problem I have. So anyways, I started the coffee house. And then when I got back to the States, I was there for 2 years before I came to Mexico. I realized that the coffee house was so fantastic. I spent so much of my time there, like all my time there when I wasn't in the school, and around so many eccentric, quirky, powerful people from all over the globe. And I remember, because I would kind of just have to keep an eye on things. And I had this high top table. I sat and I watched everything, made sure everybody was okay. they wouldn't let me make coffee because they said I was horrible, and they wouldn't let me in the kitchen. But I was really good with talking to the customers and hanging out with the customers. You know, I would plop next to them and drink a cup of coffee with them. It was so much fun. But I had so many stories from meeting all these fantastic men and women there. And so I had a conversation with my agent, and I said, I really would like to write fiction. I did not want to write this book in a nonfiction format. And so then she's like, you know, that's not really normal. People don't do that. And I'm like, I really think I can. And I did.
And that was the beginning.
Yeah. And I love writing. I like fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, nonfiction's nice, but it does make you vulnerable, right? Because it is very personal. And, you know, you have to be ready for that. So, but
at least with fiction, you've got a bit of creative license that you can really write anything you like. Nonfiction, you're up for judgment, that people say that's not right. That's not right. I can understand what you mean. Another question, Sue wanted to know, do you have a favorite character in your books? I think we talked about that before. Would B be your favorite character?
You know, in the little coffee shop of Kabul, I love Sunny and I love Yasmina. But I tell you, I really like B. B just makes me smile. There's just, I can't get enough of B. Like, I can read the book. I don't typically read my books much after they're written, right?
Because you've read them so many times anyway.
Like, you're so tired of the book by the time you're done. It's like, wow. But I have found myself really just laughing out loud with B. Like, for instance, the hammam scene, where that was definitely where B is sliding all over the hammam like a greased pig, right? That was my experience in the hammam with my girlfriends. And I can read the book over and over and laugh and laugh and laugh. It just makes me smile when I read the book.
Oh, that's good. Sue also wanted to know, do you have input into your beautiful covers of your books?
Aren't they stunning?
They are. And there it is again for people who want to have a look and see. It really is beautiful.
Oh, I know. It's the publishers do they send me something, like, I don't know what they have in their head. And then we just tweak it out, right? Like, I had that edge. I had a certain thing in mind because the tiles,
yes,
the tiles in are just fantastic. And I really wanted to feel the tiles, and I love camels. So when I saw the camel on the cover, I'm like, oh my goodness,
there it is.
You got me at the camel. I'm in. I loved it.
Oh, that's good. Now, if any of our viewers want to connect with you at all, what's the best way to connect with you, Deb?
Well, I'm on both Facebook and Instagram, and I think they both all have links to my email. But you can find me at Facebook at Deborah Rodriguez Author, and you can find me on Instagram at, probably just put Deborah Rodriguez in, but it's Deb, DEBB_ROD.
Right. Oh, so terrific.
You can find me there.
Now, all of Deb's books are available on our catalogue in print form, so hop on and pop a hold on them. And Island on the Edge of the World is also available as an ebook through BorrowBox. Deb, it's been lovely to chat to you today. Thank you so much, and I wish you every success with the Moroccan Daughter.
Oh, thank you so much. This was really a pleasure. It was so nice meeting you.
Thank you.
So if any of your readers, honestly, I love to chit chat with the readers. So I'm very active on my social media and via email. So
lovely.
Any other questions, feel free to send them to me.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.